So welcome to the Global Discussions with creatives, leaders and thinkers. Today, I'm joined by Sally Maier-Yip. And Sally, you're very welcome to the podcast. Let's begin by asking you to tell our international audience all about your journey, your career, and the area of business that you're particularly focused on, because I think it's going to be of interest to our global audience. So over to you, Sally.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Simon, for having me today. My name is Sally Maier-Yip. I'm originally from Hong Kong. My background is about journalism and PR. So all my life since I graduated from journalism school, I was doing PR for the past 18 years now. So I had the joy to be able to work in Hong Kong, Singapore, and London for the past 18 years. Currently, I run my own China-focused PR agency called 11K. Really, it's called 11K because if you Google the distance between UK and different parts of Asia, such as Beijing, Hong Kong, Singapore, is around 11,000 km. So our vision is really to bridge that 11,000 km distance into bridges through the power of communications.
I love that. So 11K consulting is actually those 11,000 kilometers.
Yes,
so look, you were born, you grew up in Hong Kong, and now you spend an awful lot of time working with brands to connect them, don't you? Between, say, the UK, where I think you are today at the time of recording, and China. So can you tell me a little bit about the type of brands or the type of work that you do? Because I know you focus a lot as well on some of the high-end luxury brands, don't you?
Yes, correct. So we basically are very single-minded. So we help our clients to unlock the Chinese high net worth individual and investor markets in China, Hong Kong, and UK and Europe. So we do that by really strategic PR, media relations, digital marketing, events, and partnership. So currently at this moment, we are working with different high-end property developer, interior design, architecture, construction, and luxury retail brands who want to appeal to the more sophisticated Chinese luxury consumers and buyers.
And tell me, you've got offices, I think, in central London, but also in Shanghai. Where are your team based? Are they all working out of China? Are they working remotely? How does it work in this sort of post-pandemic world? Where are your teams situated?
Yes. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So I'm personally based here in London, and majority of our team is based in London, while we do have colleagues in Shanghai and Hong Kong. So the pandemic has proved to be a challenge for us in the sense that typically PR work is a lot about face-to-face, offline meetings and offline events. But because of pandemic, so we were forced to change our strategy for our clients and also our ways of communications. I think the good thing about us being in the UK is that during the pandemic, a lot of people couldn't travel to China, either for the clients to China or Chinese people coming out. So it was good to be based in UK in the sense that we were actually quite mobile compared to people in China, that we were able to do things in China. And I think our clients like about us is because we are based in UK, we understand the Western culture, while we are still able to articulate and communicate to the Chinese audience back in China, Hong Kong, and Chinese overseas. And that's what the client told us, that instead of hiring someone in China, Hong Kong, who may never been to UK, who may never been to Europe, and don't necessarily understand their services and products. So I think it's a privilege for us to be able to work across different borders. And with online tools and digital marketing, we can work anywhere, as long as we do have the understanding how to reach to our Chinese target audience, whether they are in China or overseas.
Okay, thank you. And I know some of the brands that you've worked with many brands and organizations, but two or three that spring to mind for me is the international brand Remy Martin. Mm-hmm. You've also worked with a landmark, which is the Burlington Arcade in London, and also the Royal Institute of British Architects. So how does that luxury goods and sort of property and retail. How does that fit together for you, Sally?
Yes. You ask really good questions, Simon. So while we work with different sectors, from luxury retail to architecture to shopping destination, really, we are targeting the same audiences. So basically the same Chinese person who enjoy luxury lifestyle, who enjoy high quality of work, and who travel globally. So we are actually trying to serve the same person who have different needs. And actually, by working with different clients in different sectors, but with the same values and same standard of services, it helps to provide a kind of one-stop shop solution for the same Chinese audience. So while it doesn't make sense in some way, it actually fits perfectly when we try to have our clients collaborate together and try to do something unique for our target Chinese audience.
And is that where maybe some of these events that you've organized, because you've organized some pretty nice events, could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have just passed the Chinese New Year season, and I think over the past 6 weeks, we have around 6 events, so it's quite intensive, like actually at least one event per week. So the reason why we do such things is because while online is great, we do realize the final decision or the final trust you need to build is actually through in-person relationship. So that's why we organize so many different private events for clients to meet, to really build that long-term trust with Chinese important influencers, people who work in family office, immigration, legal, education, etc., to really cement that relationship. As a result, we have been using the Chinese New Year celebration spirit to organize different events for our clients to build relationship with different people.
That makes a lot of sense. And I suppose if we put the pandemic aside for a moment, because lots of countries had lots of challenges, but I wanted to ask you a question, Sally, about doing business in China.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I see a lot of large global organizations who try to do business in China, invest tremendous sums of money, and then a few years later admit failure and pull out of China. And then I see some other companies that do really, really well in China or reach their audience. So what do you think certain brands get wrong when they're trying to enter the Chinese market? Or what tips would you have, or what advice do you find is really missing when a brand or a company, say whether they're in London or France or Germany, want to try and enter the Chinese market? Are there some fundamentals that a lot of people miss? Because it's quite difficult, I think, and some of the biggest companies in the world don't always get it right.
Yes. So Simon, I think you asked a very good question. While China is a big market with lots of opportunities, it is also a very complicated market. So one China is equal to the whole Europe. So we are talking about that size of market. So it is of course difficult to get it right when the size is so big, and then there's so many cities. So who are we actually targeting? So like I advise every single client, whether you use us or not, but first you have to think through China is a 5-year plan. It's not a 1-year plan. If you just have 1 year vision, probably you won't success. You won't succeed. It's just how you want to break the whole Europe market. If you just have 1 year plan, it's not going to work. So just think about if you want to really conquer the whole Europe market, you need a 3 to 5 year market plan. And I think that's what people may underestimate, the energy, the resources, the time you need to make it work. So if you do have those money, time, and resources, it can work really well in the long term, but it's not going to work in the first 12 months. So just to be really realistic about your plan. And the second one I would say is about the local understanding. I think even big brands sometimes fail, have horrible PR campaign because of the lack of local understanding. Just really having a local partner, whether they are PR agency or a supplier, someone local in China that you can actually check for you before you launch it externally. It will have a big help to avoid any simple mistakes. And then third one is government. China is a very fast government in the sense that a lot of things are driven by the government. So before you enter, check with the government agenda to see if your product, if your setup is actually aligned with the government agenda. If it is, then you'll probably accelerate easier. For example, well-being, healthcare is big on the government agenda. So if you are in this industry, you probably will do well better. But if you are selling things that they don't encourage, then you probably are not going to succeed so fast. So actually doing the research, having a realistic plan, and finding a local partner in some way will help you to succeed in the Chinese market.
Thank you for sharing that, Sally. Some great advice there. And I think the local partner, because I know your team, they're all multilingual, they're all trilingual, they speak many languages. Yes. And it's so important, not just having somebody that can speak different languages, but somebody that can understand the culture, somebody that can live locally in the area and can advise. And I think the other important thing, obviously, is just the sheer scale. And depending on the city and depending on the target audience, to have somebody locally on the ground that can advise on that properly, I think is invaluable advice. So thanks for sharing that with our audience. The other thing that I thought was very important was it's a minimum of a 5-year plan. And not to go in thinking, well, we'll go into China this year, because it's just not going to work. And it's a 5-year, and I think you mentioned having the energy and having the money, and that you need to be really to really have had a plan to think about how you're going to enter the Chinese market. And of course, the government plays a key role in that, So look, in terms of getting things right, that's good advice. Have you had some success stories? What do you find goes particularly well? Is it easier for certain types of businesses, like you mentioned healthcare, but you're focused very much on high-end luxury companies, maybe in, say, the UK or central London, and you're targeting these high net worth Chinese individuals or organizations, or you mentioned family offices. So how difficult is it to connect those two across those 11,000 kilometers that you mentioned?
Yes, I think we have to remember these high net worth individuals and investors are super successful business leaders in their own industry. They are very time poor. They are super smart. They have been sold by so many people in all sorts of ways. So it has to be very careful and selective in how we try to build trust with them, meaning that in terms of our content copy, in terms of the channels, it has to be really, really good, that speak to them, that really get them to trust us, because they are smart people. They are not going to be so easily in some way. So therefore, like for example, in terms of media, then we always try to get our clients into really the top press publications, such as Forbes China, South China Post, which are very well trusted by those CEOs, business leaders. In terms of digital marketing, we are not asking our clients to be on all social media platforms, because these busy people are not going to check their social media all the time. So I have to be very targeted. What do we post? Which channels do we use? So very often WeChat is one of the best platforms to reach out to them, to educate, to inspire them, while compared to selling them. So we are not trying to sell them things, but really to build our trust through giving them knowledge, through inspiring them with our content. And as well as events, while we do lots of events, each events are very, very targeted. So it can be from 5 people to 20 people. So again, depends on what people we want to engage with. And we make sure the people in the room are all the same level. So they feel that they are in a very trusted, intimate circle, that they can also make friends with people through our events. and then they will say nice things about you, and they want to keep coming back. So I think every single step is very carefully crafted, making sure that it's on brand, and also building a positive relationship with our ultimate audience.
Yeah, and there's a good point in there as well, because people often outside of China, particularly in Europe, they're almost learning that the social media platforms that are the huge platforms in China, you mentioned things like WeChat, or Weibo, or Baidu, Tencent. Of course, I think TikTok is very well known outside of China now. But it is a very different communications platform in China than, say, you would find in central London, for example. And you mentioned as well a couple of titles in terms of news and media that these high net worth individuals are reading. And it's not the same. And it takes a certain type of local expertise to be able to advise that, and to also get the communication copy, the PR into those certain publications. So do you spend an awful lot of time working in the media area with your clients then, when you're trying to reach in?
Yes, we do. So as a PR agency, our key purpose is really to build a thought leadership of our clients, to really showcase their expertise, so that their potential clients will trust them as the go-to expert. And we do that through working with the top tier media. So I cannot claim the credit. So it's my amazing team in China, in UK, who are really the real media expert, who constantly speak to them, while I'm more at strategic level, making sure that we are on the right direction, right messaging. And then my amazing team will actually do all the hard work to talk to the media.
Yeah, I get that. So let's talk a little bit then about what you're planning over the next sort of 3, 6, 9, 12 months, because China in particular has been very much in global headlines with the pandemic.
Yes.
Restrictions there eased up significantly in more recent times. As you say, you celebrate the new year,
yes,
which is great. But what does the next 6 to 12 months look like? How are you planning as you look forward? What are you hoping to achieve over the next year, Sally?
Yes, I think the year of the rabbit will be super exciting, because hopefully this year will be much more normal with China's borders reopening. So myself, I'm actually traveled to Hong Kong this Friday with my family. So after my boys haven't been back home for 5 years, so we finally can travel. And in terms of business, it will be also hugely exciting. Already, every single client is planning to travel into China this year. And I know that while I'm in Hong Kong next week, I have 2 clients in Hong Kong from London. So we are going to do some media interviews, business meeting for them already. And I can see that, I can predict that from April onwards, we'll also see Chinese tourists coming back to UK, to Europe internationally, because, for example, Virgin Atlantic, British Airways already announced that they resume their daily route from London to Shanghai from April onwards. So the future is very positive, because we know that people are wanting to do business between UK and China. As for my business 11K, we also have plans to do more things on the ground in Hong Kong, China, and already I'm traveling to Hong Kong next week for both work and holidays. So I think just because people have been stuck at home in China for 3 years, I know that my colleagues, people in China, are desperate just to go out, because they have been stuck for 3 years. So I'm expecting that realistically there will be much more traffic between UK and China, and people do want to do things together. So I think that will be hugely exciting.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it sounds like a sort of return to the normal sort of ebbs and flows of business travel as well. And maybe even an increase in that, because as you say, people have a desire to get back out and to meet people and to travel again internationally. So look, I want to change gear a little bit, Sally, because I don't want to run out of time with you today, but I want to ask you a couple of quick questions if I can.
Yes.
When you learn information, or when you read books or listen to podcasts, what type of information do you like to listen to? Is it a particular author, a genre? Is it all business that you read? Are you a visual learner? Do you like listening? Is it just meeting people, or do you like to pick up a book? How does that work for you? And what kind of things do you onboard?
Yes. It's interesting. I think my style changed as I grow up, as my business has matured a little bit more. So I think at the beginning, when I set my own business, it was more about business books. So just to learn all the hard skills, like how to run a business, what are the operational secrets to make it successful. So it's all about hard skills. But these days, I still have lots of business books at my home, but I'm not attracted to those books. So this day I've been reading more like personal development books, such as The Power of Failure or Light in the Dark. I guess as I realize, as I also become older, I think actually the stronger I am as a person, I feel the stronger my business will be. Especially I'm in a PR industry, it's very people driven in a sense. We are not selling a product, it's all about services. It's all about trust. So actually, by having a higher awareness of myself, I realized it helped me to attract better clients, better employees, better friends who are aligned with my values or who want to help me. So this day I've been reading a lot of kind of personal development books, while my business books are still there in that sense. Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Sally, because it's always good to get an insight into what people are reading or learning about. So that's good. And I want to ask you another question. Obviously, from your studies, through your education, through to starting your own business and the international business that you do today, you must have met a lot of people that have inspired you or that you admire throughout your journey. Or maybe it's just a particular character trait that you're drawn to. But when I ask you that question, are there any people that spring to mind that admire or inspire you along the way?
Yes, there are. I'm very lucky to have met a lot of amazing people throughout my career and when I'm running businesses. I guess one character trait among all these people is that they are all very generous. In a sense, very generous in giving. They don't ask me for money, and they help me, or they are just with a heart of service other people. So Mother Teresa came to my mind. Well, she passed away and she doesn't know me, but I'm always inspired by her kindness and also her devotion of her life to service other people. In a real life, I also met women like Miss Macy Nye, who is a very energetic Malaysian Chinese lady in London, in her 70s, and she still run charity event every single week. She doesn't need to, but she's just passionate about helping people, about giving back. So I always feel very amazed and empowered by these people who just keep doing things for other people without expecting anything in return. And even my mentor, who has been mentoring me for 4 years now, and he refused to take money from me when I said, you have to charge me for all your time and knowledge, and said, no, I'm just happy to help you and to see you grow. So yeah, I think there's common trait in the sense that these people are all very kind and generous in giving their time, in giving their advice. And that's what I guess I also try to do in some ways, to give back to people, because I've received so much. And I think that's made me sometimes non-stoppable to do different things, because I feel I take so much from other people, and it's my time to give away what I have as well.
I really like that, Sally. I love that. I mean, the generosity of spirit, and to find people that have that generosity in business is always helpful, and it's wonderful to hear that. So thank you for sharing that. What about advice? You must have received advice along the way too. Is there a particular piece of advice that you were told? Now, this could be back into your childhood, or it could be something that happened to you yesterday. But is there some advice that you really like that you've hung on to? Or is there some advice that you often pass on to others that you think is very valuable for people to know?
Yes. Two advice came to my mind. First one is when I was made redundant by a UK PR agency almost 11 years ago. So it was really a shock to me because in Singapore and Hong Kong, I have such a comfortable life. I got salary increase every 6 months. I thought I was a high flyer. But then when I moved to London 12 years ago from Singapore, I was right at the bottom. Like I was always not good enough. And when I thought I proved myself, and then after 60 months into that UK PR agency, I was made redundant. So it was like a midlife crisis for me because it was just so harsh compared to my life back in Asia. So I was really upset, and I remember a good friend did say to me that, like, hang in there, just hang in there. Like it's okay that you don't know what to do now. It's okay that you feel frustrated, but hang in there. Don't give up. And that's really made me feel better and make me hang in there. Like it will be fine. Like I can find another job or I can do something else. Yeah, it's a very simple words, but it does have a very strong impact on me at that time. Just to hang in there, and that's how I found my freelance job, and then my another PR agency work for another 3 years, which I got back to the level and got back to the salary that I think I should be. The second piece of advice, I think, because as a Chinese, we are always taught to be humble, to be obedient. When we are at school, either to be obedient with our teachers or with our parents. So it's not such our natural to shine or to show off. So I remember when I was working in the UK PR agency, my colleague told me, say, Sally, don't be so humble. You have to show off. Like I was like, oh, but it's not my character to show off. So that's my natural response. And now I run my own agency and also managing a team of Chinese young generations. Again, now I tell them, show off, please shine, please tell clients what you know. You are the expert. Don't be afraid of shining. So I guess culturally we think that, oh, it's arrogant to shine, but actually it's not. Now I realize it actually helps you to attract people who believe in you, and actually help you to filter friends in some way because you show them who you truly are, and therefore it actually saves your time to attract the right clients, right friends. If they don't like you, then probably it's meant to be. So I think the advice I would give to people, and also the advice I receive from other people is hang in there and don't be afraid of shining.
I think that's two great pieces of advice, particularly when things go tough, just to have that fortitude to hang in there. And also, it's okay to shine now and again. You know, I think that's a great thing. And I know there's, you know, you touched on there some of the cultural upbringings too. And, you know, I know people across Asia, and it isn't, you know, it's a different cultural upbringing. It's a different understanding. But it is nice when you see somebody willing to shine, willing to, you know, show their skills and their talent too. So thank you for sharing both of those. I love both of those, Sally. They're great, great advice for our listeners.
Thank you.
As you so as you plan the next year ahead, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about what you're hoping to achieve, and the international travel and everything is opening back up. What do you think are the biggest opportunities now as you look forward? What are you looking forward to opportunity-wise?
Yeah, so I actually really want to go global, in the sense majority of our clients are based in UK, which is great because I'm based in London. But I think with our work, we can definitely help more businesses outside of UK in Europe as well. And therefore, I'm going to Maier-Yip France in March in France to really try to get to know more international property players, and also going out more in Asia to really to scale up our business with the more normal world this year and probably in the future as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That sounds exciting. So look, before we run out of time today, is there anything else that you would like to raise to our international audience? Is there anything that I haven't discussed with you that you'd like to raise? And also, if people want to get in touch with you and connect or find out more about the services that you offer through your agency, or maybe they're looking to expand into China, where's the best place for people to connect with you online, Sally?
Okay, thank you. First, thank you so much for giving me this airtime to share my humble stories. I think the last thing I want to say to people who are listening to this podcast is that please don't admire people in the sense that we tend to share positive stories only, and we just don't know people's struggles, stories behind the scenes. So don't feel that, oh, you are not as good as other people in some ways. Actually, you are all amazing, and we are all unique in our own way. So I think don't compare yourself with me, with anyone, because they just don't know what you're struggling. You just don't know what they are struggling. So I guess my message is, please be comfortable with who you are. Don't try to compare yourself with other people, which is also a reminder to myself. And if you would like to connect with me, if you're in the Western world, so I'm very active on LinkedIn. I post it every day, so you can find me on LinkedIn. But if you're in China and where LinkedIn is blocked, then email me, WeChat me. So I'm all on these platforms every day.
Well, very good. Yeah. So obviously WeChat, if they're connecting with you in China, and LinkedIn here in Europe and London,
and
for
email.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And email, of course. Yeah. Well, look, Sally, it's been wonderful to catch up with you. I know you're in the middle of traveling at the moment. I know you've got trips ahead, and you know, I hope you have a great time in Hong Kong, mixing a little bit of personal and of course business in Hong Kong. But it's been great to have you as a guest here on the Global Discussion. So thank you so much. Thanks to everybody who's been watching or listening to this episode around the world. Please make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, do all the things that I need you to do to help support the podcast. And I hope you'll meet me back here for more discussions with creatives, leaders, and thinkers. So thank you, Sally. It's been lovely to catch up with you. Safe travels, my friend.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Simon.